Imagine a single jet slicing through the sky, flying with the confidence of a veteran yet still new to the global stage. This is the C919, China's first independently developed mainline passenger aircraft. Since its debut in 2022, it hasn't just lifted off from the runway, it's soared into global attention. Airlines across continents have placed over 1,400 orders in only a few short years. For a country once viewed as a latecomer in commercial aviation, that's nothing short of extraordinary. But here's the question keeping industry experts awake at night. Can one aircraft truly challenge decades of dominance by the aviation titans, Boeing in the United States and Airbus in Europe? Could this plane actually rewrite the rules of an industry that's remained nearly untouchable for generations? Today, we're not just talking about a machine. We're talking about ambition, innovation, and a bold challenge that reaches far beyond the clouds. The story of the C919 might just reshape the future of aviation, and it all begins right here. To understand why the C919 matters, we first have to look at the world it's stepping into. A world long ruled by two names, Boeing and Airbus. For decades, these giants have dominated the skies, from New York to Singapore, Paris to Beijing. For Chinese airlines, the choice was simple. Pick one of the two and hope for the best. Innovation was slow, competition minimal, and the market seemed locked in an unbreakable cycle. Then came the C919. This isn't just a plane, it's China's declaration to the world. We're ready to compete at the top. It marks the country's first serious step into the elite circle of mainline aviation. Suddenly, a market once considered static is alive with possibility. Chinese engineering, decades in the making, is now challenging the status quo, and the world is watching closely. The rise of the C919 isn't just about transportation. It's about national pride, technological ambition, and the quiet reshaping of a global industry that has resisted change for far too long. Before the first C919 even took flight, doubt swirled everywhere. Could a newcomer really compete with decades of expertise? Could China bridge the technological gaps in engines, aerodynamics, and avionics? The skepticism wasn't mild, it was intense. Observers used to Boeing and Airbus setting the standard were far from optimistic. Building a new aircraft from the ground up is no small task. Every bolt, every turbine blade, every circuit must meet the strictest global standards. Engineers faced the monumental challenge of developing engines that were efficient, reliable, and safe, all while designing an airframe capable of standing toe-to-toe with the best in the world. The stakes? Astronomical. One mistake could cost billions and tarnish China's aerospace ambitions for years. But against all odds, the C919 pushed forward, steadily proving that determination, precision, and innovation could turn doubt into awe. By the time the C919 entered commercial service, the numbers spoke louder than any skeptic. In under 2 years, it logged 23,000 hours of safe flight, completed more than 9,600 commercial trips, and carried over 1.27 million passengers. For a brand new aircraft, these stats were remarkable. Solid proof that China's gamble was paying off. And interest wasn't limited to home turf. Airlines from Brunei, Indonesia, Brazil, and Malaysia showed strong interest. Even Ryanair, Europe's largest budget carrier, said they'd consider the C919 if it came 10 to 20% cheaper than comparable Airbus models. For a jet barely out of its launch phase, that level of international attention was unprecedented. The C919 was no longer a promise or prototype. It was a player, demonstrating real reliability and efficiency on the world stage. Success on the runway was only half the battle. To truly break into the global market, the C919 needed the aviation world's golden key: airworthiness certification. Without it, even the most advanced aircraft can't legally carry passengers in major markets. But earning that certification is anything but easy. Both Europe and the United States conduct exhaustive reviews of every design, manufacturing process, test, and safety protocol. These reviews act as powerful gatekeepers, historically keeping new entrants out of the big leagues. For the C919, commercial success wasn't enough. Approval from regulators was essential to access new markets, form partnerships, and truly compete with Boeing and Airbus. The challenge was clear: even flawless performance wouldn't guarantee global acceptance. As the C919's rise gained momentum, the United States responded quickly. In May 2025, the Department of Commerce suspended export licenses for key components, including the LEAP-1C engine, the aircraft's technological heart. This wasn't random. It targeted the C919 at its core. The LEAP-1C, co-developed by the United States and France, delivers 135 kilonewtons of thrust, boosts fuel efficiency by 15%, reduces noise by 10 decibels, and cuts harmful emissions. But here's the catch: about 30% of its components are sourced from the United States. That means restrictions on even one part can ripple through the entire supply chain, causing costly delays, canceled orders, and shaken investor confidence. This move made one thing clear: as China challenged global dominance, it wasn't just competing in business. It was stepping into a geopolitical battlefield where technology itself becomes a tool of power. The C919 was no longer just an airplane. It had become a symbol at the center of a high-stakes global confrontation. And these struggles didn't happen in isolation. They played out amid rising United States-China trade tensions. Since March 2025, new tariffs had hit more than 180 countries, with China facing rates as high as 254%. In retaliation, China imposed up to 125% tariffs on United States goods. The result? Shockwaves across global supply chains and a dramatic shift in how airlines viewed Boeing, Airbus, and the future of flight itself. Billions in potential sales now hang in the balance, including a Chinese market once worth over $28 billion to Boeing alone. Even when temporary compromises were reached, like pausing some tariffs but keeping a 10% base rate, the pressure barely lifted. Amid this tense economic landscape, the C919 became far more than a new airplane. It turned into a symbol of resilience and national strategy. Here, politics and technology collided, reminding the world that aerospace isn't just about engineering. It's about influence, leverage, and ultimately, who controls the skies, both commercially and geopolitically. At the heart of this storm sat the LEAP-1C engine, powerful, efficient, and essential to the C919's performance. With over 30% of its components sourced from the United States, any restriction could paralyze production. Without a steady engine supply, deliveries would stall, contracts might be canceled, and international buyers could hesitate. The LEAP-1C isn't just a piece of machinery, it's an integrated ecosystem, combining the engine body, casing, tail cone, reverse thrust, and exhaust systems into one seamless design. That means even minor supply disruptions ripple across the entire aircraft, impacting safety, performance, and reliability. This situation underscored a harsh truth: global supply chains can be weaponized. Technology, the very thing that drives innovation, can also become a tool of geopolitical leverage. For China, the C919's future wasn't merely about engineering prowess. It was about surviving and thriving in a high-stakes game where every bolt, turbine, and sensor mattered. Yet, despite mounting pressure, China had anticipated these risks from the beginning. They were never going to let outside forces decide the fate of their aerospace ambitions. Long before the C919's first flight, a plan was already in motion. Back in 2011, alongside the aircraft's development, engineers began designing the Yangtze 1000A, a fully domestic engine built to reduce reliance on foreign technology. This wasn't just foresight. It was a strategic safeguard for China's aviation future. The Yangtze 1000A boasts impressive achievements: greater thrust, improved fuel efficiency, and lower maintenance costs. Using advanced high-temperature alloys and thousands of embedded sensors, it performs reliably under extreme conditions. By 2023, it had already completed its first high-altitude test flight aboard the Y-20 transport aircraft. Later, installed on a C919 prototype, it successfully logged 500 hours of verification flights, showing stable, dependable performance. Today, its localization rate has reached 80%, with key parts like turbine blades and ceramic composite nozzles produced entirely in China. This engine isn't just a backup, it's a statement. China can innovate at the highest level and withstand global supply challenges. With the Yangtze 1000A, the C919 gained the power to fly independently, no longer tethered to foreign supply chains. But China didn't stop there. Alongside world-class engine development, the country began securing its long-term advantage through independent certification and mass production. The Civil Aviation Administration of China, or CAAC, has been building its own domestic airworthiness system, breaking decades of dependence on Western regulators. This means Chinese-made aircraft can now earn recognition at home and gradually abroad, unlocking doors that once seemed permanently closed. Mass production goals are equally ambitious. The Yangtze 1000A is slated for full-scale production in 2026, starting with 50 units per year, scaling up to 200 units by 2030. This ensures that C919 deliveries can ramp up without relying on imported engines, giving airlines a stable, homegrown supply chain. Together, these steps form a powerful ecosystem: advanced domestic engines, independent certification, and scalable production. China isn't just building an aircraft, it's constructing an entire aerospace infrastructure capable of competing for decades to come. And with that foundation secured, the next leap is even bolder: developing the next generation CJ2000 engine to power future long-haul jets and challenge the global giants head-on. The next milestone in China's aviation journey is the CJ2000, designed for the upcoming C929 long-haul passenger jet. This powerhouse generates up to 35 tons of thrust, delivering 15% better fuel efficiency than the Yangtze 1000A. For airlines, that means saving about 20 tons of fuel on a single trans-Pacific flight, dramatically cutting operating costs. Technologically, the CJ2000 is at the cutting edge. It features a 12-to-1 high bypass ratio, advanced gear transmission, and single crystal turbine blades capable of withstanding temperatures up to 1,700 degrees Celsius. Its manufacturing process slashes scrap rates below 8%, ensuring consistent quality and performance even under the harshest conditions. In tests, the engine's core exceeded 100% of its design speed, proving both its power and stability. With innovations like this, China is positioning itself to compete directly with the Boeing 787 and Airbus A350 on international long-haul routes. The C929, powered by the CJ2000, won't just be another aircraft, it will be a statement. China's aviation industry is ready to play at the top tier, redefining global standards of efficiency, performance, and competitiveness. The story of the C919 and China's homegrown engines is one of ambition, resilience, and transformation. From skepticism and trade wars to engineering triumphs, China has turned obstacles into stepping stones. What began as a single aircraft has evolved into a symbol of national innovation, challenging the decades-long reign of Boeing and Airbus. With the C919, powered by the Yangtze 1000A, and soon the CJ2000, China has shown that foresight, technological investment, and sheer determination can break even the toughest barriers. But this isn't just about airplanes. It's about reshaping the global aerospace order, empowering domestic talent, and cementing China's position on the world stage. So the question remains, can the C919 and its successors truly redefine the balance of power in global aviation? The answer is still unfolding, but one thing is undeniable. The skies are no longer reserved for the old giants alone. If you want to follow the next chapters of this aerospace revolution, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. The story of innovation, competition, and technological breakthroughs is just beginning, and the world will be watching every single takeoff.